everybody. Welcome back to East Africa with me, Rachel Griffith. I am super excited to be sitting with you today and continuing to talk about vision. We are talking about how God desires for us to have an excitement, to have a fire for Him, and in that comes a vision that is exciting, that carries you through life, and that propels you into what He has for you to do, right? This vision is this sight that is birthed within us. But before that, God desires for us to have a passion and a fire and a drive, right? Because if we don't have those things, we can have a vision and we go back and forth with it. So where does this passion come from? Where does this excitement, this life, this fervency come from? It comes from, like we talked about last time, seeing, knowing, and experiencing Jesus. I gave you this foundational scripture in Luke 24:30, when Jesus is walking after He has actually risen and no one's really seen Him yet. He's walking with these two guys who are most likely disciples, maybe of the 70. And it says here in Luke 24:30 that, well, right before that, it says that Jesus began to reveal Himself from Moses and all of the prophets. He begins talking about Himself. He's showing them Jesus Himself through all of the Old Testament. And then it says, as they sat down, they broke bread, they gave it to Jesus is with them. It says their eyes were open and they knew Him. They knew Jesus. And He vanished from their sight. And they said to one another, "Did not our heart burn within us while He talked with us on the road and while He opened the scriptures to us?" Yeah, this fire, this passion, and this fervency for life comes through seeing Jesus. The reason the world is constantly burning out and constantly getting tired, even religious people, they get into all of these things, doing all of these things, and they burn out. Didn't Jesus say, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden and burdened, and I will give you rest"? When we are experiencing Jesus, we are not going through a time of weariness or drought, right? Jesus said, "Anybody who drinks of my water will never thirst." So this excitement and passion for life comes through fellowship and sitting and hearing and experiencing Jesus. This fire, this heart that burns, that we all desire. I mean, who wouldn't say they desire to have a burning heart? A heart that is on fire, a heart that is fervent and passionate, where you feel like you're really living. You feel like, you're excited to go forward. And really it's in this that we begin to be able to take a vision, to take a word that God has spoken to us, and to use that passion and to use that flame of fire in our hearts and to begin to move forward into those things. This is so key and this is so important. When Jesus was with Mary and Martha, we know that Mary is sitting there at Jesus's feet and Martha is going around doing all of these things, and they're good things, but she comes to Jesus and she says, "Hey, tell my sister to get up and help me." And He said, "Martha, Martha, you're troubled about many things, but Mary, she's chosen the one thing that will never be taken from her. She's chosen that good thing." What was that? To sit at His feet. You see, it is in this, when we sit with Jesus and we experience Jesus, do we begin to have a heart that begins to burn. When we see Him, we are excited about life. Because life is no longer an all-consuming vortex of ourself. Jesus said, "Anyone who desires to come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me." The denial of yourself is the most life-giving thing you will ever find. And I know that sounds a little bit strange, but a life that is self-consumed is a life that will burn out. A life that is self-consumed is a life that cannot receive vision and go forward. If you're always concerned about you, if you're always concerned about what's going to happen tomorrow, or what are you going to look like if you fail? What are you going to look like if something happens to you? You know what? You can't grab that vision and run with it because it's all about you. See, Jesus said, take up your cross and follow me. And the cross is the point of selflessness, right? It's where Jesus had it all and he gave it all up. And for us, we have that cross to pick up, and it's not a burden. It's power for us. It's excitement for us. It's no longer living for ourselves. It's saying, you know what? The life that Jesus has created me to live, that's the life I want to live. The life that Jesus is speaking to me, when he speaks to me that I'm his beloved, when he speaks to me that I was worth what he went through on the cross, when I see that, when I read that, then you know what? That puts a fire in my heart. It will put a fire in your heart. When you're experiencing him, he puts a fire in your heart and a vision in you for the future, for what he's calling you to do. They are paired so side by side because that vision is going to need fuel to keep you going. And anytime the Lord has spoken so many things to Willie and my heart over the years, so many things, and we are big on vision, and we write vision, and we put those things in front of us, and we're always talking about them and stirring them up. But you know what? If I neglect the weightier things, the first things first, which is Jesus and my relationship with the Father, then I will grow tired, I will grow weary, I will grow distracted with all of these other things. So many other things that can come in life. I can just get tired of it. You know what I mean? Just be like, oh, I feel like I'm in the grind. I feel like see, Jesus gives that fresh fire, right? He gives that fresh fire. Every day, he wants to fill you with life and light and excitement so that when you see that vision before you, you are motivated to go after it. You are excited to keep going and pursuing and stepping out there, right? Because you have a substance within you. You're not running on fumes. When we run on fumes and we neglect this relationship that God so desires to have with us, we neglect being able to really go after that. And so many other things fall apart. And so many people become unhappy and become depressed and become weary and wandery. And if you feel weary and wandery with what God's placed in your heart and the purpose, and you're like, I don't know, I'm so confused. I thought it was this. I thought it was that. You know what? You need to just drop all of that. And you need to go back to the first thing, the one thing, that is to sit at his feet. Stop searching out and looking all of that, being confused about where you're going or what you're supposed to do. Just lay it down and go back to the first things first. Go back to that relationship of fellowship and intimacy where he can speak to you and he can just breathe on you. And when he breathes on you, it's like those coals you see in a fire, the red coal, but there's no flame. But when you breathe on it, it builds that flame. It refires that flame. And that is the breath of the Lord that he wants to put in your heart again. That fervency, that passion, and that fire. When you see Jesus, when you experience Jesus, that fire is rebirthed in your heart. And it is going to be the fuel for the vision and the purpose that God has for your life. It is the driving force that is going to get you to where he wants you to go. All right, you guys, I'm so blessed to have been sitting with you today. Send us your prayer requests on WhatsApp. We would love to hear from you guys, and I will see you next time.